What's up, everybody? A little bit different of a video today. I got my coach, Terry Rady, here, and we're going to do a little bit of a Q&A just talking about my prep for the Rogue Invitational, kind of what's going on. And first and foremost, one of the questions that I've been getting since starting training is, why is he coaching me now and no longer Derek Poundstone? And to be honest, sometimes as an athlete and a coach, like, your relationship just runs its course. And that's kind of where, you know, Derek and I got with what was going on in both of our lives. His personal life was super busy. Mine was obviously busy in prepping after cancer to go into a massive show. We just kind of felt our relationship had run its course. Now, Terry comes into the picture because he's been one of my closest friends for years now. He's been around the sport for a really long time, has won the biggest competitions as a 231 pro, and is one of the most successful strongman coaches there is right now.
Hey, I appreciate that. I tried.
So for me, when kind of deciding on where to go in my coaching journey in getting ready for these new shows, it was kind of an easy decision for me to just hit Terry up and say, hey, make me better.
It's been tough. It's been tough after cancer and a tricep surgery. It's been tough. It's challenged me, but I enjoy it.
So we've had a lot of fun. Our friendship is great because, you know, we're the type of people that can tell each other to go F off, but no, it's coming from a loving place.
Well, for full disclosure, I mean, what, 2-3 years ago, there was a point in time where our relationship, like, you know, we kind of distanced because some dumb stuff had happened.
Yeah.
And then I remember I hit you up and said, hey, let's talk. And we talked on the phone for like an hour.
And we're good.
Squash it. Like, it's two grown adults. One's can change a tire, so I'm a grown man. You can't change a tire.
Okay.
It's like a grown man.
It's not that I can't, it's just I never have, okay?
It's so
self-explanatory. Oh gosh. And that's the end of the video, because I'm sick of him already. So
thank God for the fans.
Okay, so here's a good one actually for you. How do you get used to holding heavy weights on a log when you're just getting into strongman and don't weigh that much?
So one thing, and this is actually something we've been doing for Rob, because, you know, with his tricep tearing it, tricep surgery, I mean, you see it with Matus, it takes so much longer because the tricep is such a load-bearing muscle. It takes so much longer to get back into those heavier range weights. So for someone like Rob, who's a split jerker primarily, we do like jerk recoveries, but you can mimic the same movements by doing high pin lockouts. If you can fit your log in a rack, that's fantastic. You can use a Swiss bar, regular barbell. I like to kind of alternate the implement that we're using. So 1 week we'll do like a Swiss bar or a straight bar. The next week we'll do like a bamboo bar or something that requires a little bit more stability. And then the week after that we'll really overload it with another Swiss bar or a log. But you just kind of start from a high pin, do your press out hold for an 8 count, 5 to 8 count. If you're a jerker or a split jerker, you do your jerk recoveries and get that hold overhead, but just doing it from a high pin and just getting used to holding heavy weight overhead, just like doing heavy yoke picks to get used to holding heavy weight. The only way you get used to holding heavy weight is to hold heavy weight. So, yeah.
And I can attest, those 5 to 8 second holds suck.
They do.
They're terrible. But I will say there's been, I don't know what it is, the past few weeks I feel like there has been a transition in my overhead movement. You know, just this week I went up to 335 on the log for sets of 3. It was 2 cleans, 3 jerks, and it's the best the jerk has felt since my injury.
Because you have to focus on it more.
Yes.
So for those of you that have watched Rob over the years, he kind of does like a split jerk press out almost. It's like a split jerk in conjunction with like incline bench press out. It's the craziest thing I've seen, but he's so strong with it. But due to the tricep, he has to compensate more, leaning more on the explosiveness of the split jerk and his ability to get under the implement versus trying to press it out. So it's almost like he has to kind of become a new overhead athlete. Really, I mean, honestly,
I don't like it.
No, especially when you've been doing it like 11 years, one way.
Yeah. So what do you think are some things that most people overlook in Strongman in terms of training, mindset, nutrition?
Training, mindset, and nutrition. Mindset, I would say early in your career, you need to compete as much as possible. I'm pretty sure, Rob, you competed like 11 times a year whenever you first started, right? I mean,
yeah,
I remember
the first like 3 years of my career, I was competing between 10 and 13 times a year.
Yeah, that's one thing with Strongman. When you start in the sport, you're not going to get good at competing until you learn to compete, because you'll have those anomalies that come in and to a contest and win every event, but then they get to the high level and they don't know how to compete, because competing isn't winning every event. Competing is knowing where you can sandbag something a little bit to save energy for something you're bad at. So you'll get those guys that wash everything and they get to a big show and they kind of wash out after 2 or 3 events. So competing a lot, learning the type of competitor you are, and I would say when you're early in your career and your ability for your body to recover from max effort movements, you really need to learn to run yourself into the ground. As you get through your career and you get older and your body progresses and you start loading heavier weight, you can kind of taper the volume back, taper your sessions back. Like Rob today, he did circus dumbbell, Swiss bar push press, then stone extension to load. So it's just 3 movements, but they were heavy and it's enough for him. Whereas, 5-6 years ago, Rob would have had to have done circus dumbbell, push press, stones, RDLs or rows or something like that. You can kind of taper the volume, and I think Chad Smith actually covers that in Juggernaut a lot.
Yeah.
How in his career, as he went like this, your volume has to kind of really do this because it takes more to recover because the load's so heavy.
I think that actually plays into like what I was going to say, and like the thing that I think people overlook most is patience.
Oh, dude.
Right? I think I've talked about this before. Like, people look at where I'm at and automatically assume like I got to this level quickly. Meanwhile, I've been doing this sport since 2009 when I was 17, and I was terrible. And it was just like doing things slowly, progressing over the years, getting better. And again, like working so hard every single day in the gym with really high volume, really high intensity, competing all the time. People don't realize that that's what it takes to get to this level, to essentially earn that spot in your career where you don't have to train with the volume that you normally did to really see those strength increases.
And what about like when you were coming up in your career? Because I remember 105 Worlds when it was you and Sean. Was that in Belfast?
That was 2016.
You did not have a good show.
It was terrible. That was actually the show that made me realize I don't want to be a 105 anymore.
Well, it's not only that, but it's like you have to learn in your career, even when you get to a good level, to take those L's. You got to take them and not overreact where I have to do more gear, I have to do more calories, I have to do this, you have to have a course, understand when you lose, even if it's by a point, you get second like me. I got second to Sean DeMarinis at ASM by a half a point, or no, a point and a half.
I've done that too.
Yeah, and it was, dude, losing to Sean sucks.
It's horrible. Sean, if you're watching this, Sean, you still have a flip phone, but
he really does.
I know.
One of the greatest competitors ever.
He's amazing.
But
he's an asshole.
Losing to someone, you have to take those L's and just kind of reevaluate where you're at, what you can do better, where your weaknesses were in the contest. Because 5-6 events is tough, dude.
Well, I mean, that point in my career too, like I was at that crossroads where it was like the cut to 231 was getting hard.
Oh, you did like a 20-something pound cut.
It was 26 pounds to get to 231 for that show.
That was rough.
But like also 4 weeks prior to that, I had just won the log press world championships in Lithuania, weighing only 100 and I think I weighed 246 pounds the day, pressed 445 and a half, tied for first with Vitas Blakaitis. I beat Vytautas Lawless and Dimitar at the time. So like that show, it was really a crossroads for me because I was like, okay, I can either stay at 231 or I can try my hand at heavyweight.
I'd say it worked out.
I think so. It was okay. Not a bad move.
No,
yeah.
It was more like a lateral transition,
Such an ass. One of the questions is, when are we going to see you next on Joe Rogan? Soon. So actually for the Rogan Invitational, when I'm down in Austin, Texas, I do have it booked in. But I'll be going on Joe Rogan, going back on the podcast to chat with him just about the crappy year I've had so far. 2020 into 2021 has been rough on me between the injury and cancer and everything going on. But yeah, so there's the answer to that, nice and quick.
I think 20 minutes into that podcast, he's going to ask if you tried DMT for your tricep.
If he has some, I wouldn't. No, well, no, it's like 3 days before a show, so I wouldn't do it then. Yeah.
After though.
We'll see. Best way to train for strongman when you don't have access to strongman equipment?
Is that me or you?
That's a you question.
That's a me?
Coach.
Dude, okay, so best way to train for strongman when you don't have strongman equipment. High bar squatting, just with regular barbell. Just doing everything with a straight barbell, but I would say high bar squatting more than anything because it's going to have a better transition over to your yoke. In learning to do plate rows and plate extensions, a lot of barbell rows. I had to train it. For those of you that don't know me, when I was coming up in my career, prepping for the Arnold, prepping for Worlds, I had a job where I traveled 120 nights a year on the road. I was sitting in a car, driving to places, working in the hot sun for 8 hours a day, driving all over Indiana, Kentucky. And I worked out in a lot of Planet Fitnesses and LA Fitnesses. This is back when Planet Fitness had barbells, but a lot of rows. That is the one thing I could say that every commercial gym goer neglects, is doing rows and posterior work. If you have access to a barbell and a GHR, you can be a successful strongman.
Well, I think like people also underestimate like the how much the upper and mid back play into our sport. It's literally used on every single event. You know, that's why I think that's one of the reasons why I got so successful on the log press, is because I adapted my front squat to mimic a log press, right? So using deadlift straps around a bar to squat puts you in that rack position. They hold a log, and now you know you're loading 500-600 pounds on a front squat in that position, and when you clean a 400-pound log, it feels light.
Yeah, I would say any squat variation, whether it's high bars, zercher, front squat, those are your primary movers, your deadlifts, and a lot of rows. And also, never neglect to beat the shit out of yourself doing Bulgarian split squats. I know they suck. I'm looking at you in your eyes right now, and I know they are the most painful thing in the world, but I promise you, if you do a lot of them, you will be successful in strongman.
So 2 more questions. Somebody asked, this is a me question, why did you guys move from Seattle back to Massachusetts? So kind of a simple answer. First things first, it was expensive. Another thing is that we were only there for about 10 or 11 months, and it never really felt like home, as I guess is the best way to put it. You know, we had met some amazing people, had a great gym community. Job situation wasn't terrible for the most part. But then at the end of it, it really came down to when I was diagnosed with cancer. It made Joey and I realize that when big life events like that happen, we would rather be closer to friends and family. And literally living on the opposite side of the country from them made it kind of tough. So a lot of that, you know, that was a really big reason why we ended up coming back home to Massachusetts. And, you know, I will say, like, we don't regret it whatsoever. We had always talked about wanting to move somewhere else and live somewhere else in the country, and we did it. It didn't work out. We're happy to be home. It feels right being back here at Lightning, being back in New England. So we are very excited to be back here, and it was nothing against the Pacific Northwest. It was gorgeous. Just wasn't the right fit for us.
And there's Lightning Fitness.
Last question. If you could only do one lift for the rest of your life, what would it be and why?
You go first.
I was really hoping you would go first. One lift for the rest of my life.
Clean and jerk.
Oh, you skirted around it.
It's clean and jerk.
It's totally, yeah.
Clean and jerk.
I'm not going to say that.
Or a snatch.
I wouldn't say that either, for multiple reasons. I think I'm just going to go deadlift.
I was going to say log press for you.
I'm just going to go deadlift.
Really? Because you complain so much when you deadlift.
Only on the elephant bar. That's it. Give me a regular deadlift bar. I like it.
I'm pretty sure I just got a text bitching.
So, I would deadlift. Mainly, so for me, the reason why is because, again, we talk about posterior strength. Mm-hmm. You can hammer eccentrics with it, so you're getting a lot of upper back strength with it. Mm-hmm. You can do deficit pulls, so you can get more quad. Mm-hmm. We didn't talk it. There's no limitation on bar variation, so we could do a trap bar deadlift, get more quad dominant on it.
Okay.
That's where I'm at.
Snatch and clean and jerk.
That's 2 lifts. Pick one.
Snatch jerk.
That's not a thing.
It is. You do it and you land in the jerk. The snatch pull off does it. I win. I would say either snatch or clean and jerk. It's tough for me because I like both of them. But screw deadlifts, I'm over it. Screw log press, I'm over it.
Well, that's why you're not a strongman anymore.
It's just, listen guys, it's really hard. We were just talking about this earlier, how there are people that will come up to both of us and say, oh, I love the sport. I'm such a big fan of the sport. And then we're both like, well, you haven't done it long enough. Because we love the sport, but we also revere the sport. And there's a little bit of disdain because
for the sport.
Yeah, because when you sink so much, and I know I look small now, but I used to be pretty juicy.
Yeah.
I was a pretty big guy. I had a 410-pound log press at 231. Like, I was pretty strong. And
it was unofficial, but
it was unofficial, but I did it. It takes so much out of you. And I mean, just with you, like the transition over the last 3 years of your career,
it's been crazy.
It's not only have you grown personally, but I've seen like the toll that it's just taken.
Well, it went,
and physically.
The last 4 years, it went from something I love to do to more of a career, right? Like it became a job. I mean, just today, we've already been here at the gym for 6 hours. I mean,
Me 5, I overslept.
Between training and filming and doing stuff, I'm so fortunate to have amazing sponsors that support me and, push me and want me to do well. But there's requirements and there's work that goes behind all of that too. So, and, I also have a full-time job.
Yeah.
But thank you everybody for tuning in. Nice introduction to my coach, Terry. As always, make sure you check out all my sponsors down below that support me and push me and are helping me get back to competing. Again, Rogue Invitational coming up in just 6 weeks now. Super, super excited. The final week in October. And until next time, power through.